Hello and welcome to the CHC Expert Interview. My name is Stefan Poschik from CHC, and we help entrepreneurs become more successful. And today I have a really interesting guest in my interview. So welcome, Nadene Joy. Introduce yourself. What are you doing? What it is all about, what you are doing as an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much, Stefan. So my name is Nadene Joy, as Stefan has just mentioned there. I'm a CEO of the consulting company here in Canada called Nadene Joy Consulting Incorporated. I've been doing business now for almost 13 years. I started out as a parenting coach and evolved into a life coach, business coach, leadership trainer. I was very shy growing up, so I never thought that I would be a speaker. You couldn't have paid me $1 million to be a speaker in front of people. But I realized there was something about sharing our message and sharing our stories through the things that we've gone through that are very priceless, especially to people who are starting their businesses as entrepreneurs. And I'm going to share some more things as we continue on our conversation today about, what I went through, how I got through it, and what that looks like, because I had gone through, but prior to being an entrepreneur, I was a geologist in the oil industry. And that's usually the first question I get asked by everybody is, how on earth did you go from being, a petroleum exploration geologist to, being a leadership coach, advisor, trainer, speaker, author, the list goes on. And for me, it was very unexpected because I thought I was going to be a geologist the rest of my life. I didn't realize that my path was going to change so rapidly. I woke up one morning and I couldn't even get out of bed. I didn't know what was happening. I was 28 years old. By the time I was 25 years old, I had checked off all the boxes of the things in life that I thought I needed to be successful. Those things that society tells us, right? That to act a certain way, dress a certain way, you need to have the letters after your name in order to be successful. And I fit in that mold, to the T, and did everything exactly the way I thought I needed to get to. And by the time I was 25 years old, I checked off every box that I thought I would achieve in my entire life, not just until I was 25 years old, but my entire life. And I felt like there was a massive void inside of me at this point. I didn't realize why I felt unfulfilled going to work every day. I felt like there was something missing. And it wasn't until I got sick and was forced to retire my career as a geologist at 28 years old, after thinking like our parents, right? All of us think about, our parents or grandparents that lived, back in the day where they worked in one career for 30 years and then they were retired. That's what I thought my career was going to be as a geologist. And my turning point came in that moment. Like I said, when I was 28 years old, I got very sick. They could not figure out what was wrong with me. Doctors couldn't figure out anything. I had excruciating pain I'd never gone through. And you can imagine, so I was a geologist who was a perfectionist and also driven by success. I was a workaholic. I worked 100 hours a week. I worked on call, supervising wells that were $2-3 million that we were working on, extreme responsibility. But I didn't realize, and I mentioned this story for a reason, because I didn't realize what I was doing in the moment. I thought I was just doing what I was expected to do, what society tells you need to do. And when I got sick, all I could do was lay in my bed 24/7 and do nothing. So just to give you a perspective, going from working 100 hours a week in a top level position for a company, and a previous company we had sold that made over $150 million, to give you a perspective, with a team of 12 of us, to laying in my bed every day, morning, night, all day long, because I had no energy to even get up, barely to go from my bed to the bathroom and back. And it was a massive eye opener and awakening moment for me, because I realized that I was living not my truth, but I was living everybody else's truth, what they expected for me. And I realized, I knew it when I was 4 years old. And I can't remember, Stefan, when we talked the first time, if I told you this story, but when I was 4 years old, I had a grandfather, actually my great grandfather, who was 106 years old. Wow. And he was my mentor and my person that I looked up to, because what he did was he used to write letters to people in prison. And he told me, and one thing that really stuck with me was, I never worked a day in my life because I help people. And to me, that's what life was about. And I realized at this moment when I was sick, that was my purpose and my mission, also to help people and make a difference in this world. And that's how I came about, finding my purpose and my mission, which was to help people. And unfortunately, my story, it doesn't have to, for people listening, it doesn't have to be this rock bottom moment that happens in your life. We can have this realization, because I had moments when I was working in my career where I knew something wasn't right. I just didn't take the time to stop and listen and be in silence and know and understand why these things were coming up. So I encourage everybody.
You heard the signs, but you didn't listen to them, right?
That's right. Exactly. I heard the signs, but I did not take action upon them. I kept pushing myself further to climb the corporate ladder, to get to that success, to, achieve the next thing on my checklist that I was thinking I needed to have in order to be deemed successful amongst people in society. And it was an eye opener. And I realized that, when we create our businesses as entrepreneurs that we're aligned with, and we have a personal mission statement that is aligned with our personal mission and values, this is when our businesses flourish and thrive. It is when we try and copy and, compete with other people out there that creates this almost barrier that's like this magnet of that, repellent that repels other things and opportunities away from us. But when we're in that alignment in our businesses with who we truly are first, we become like a magnet and allow all of these opportunities when we let go of control of what we think needs to happen or how our business needs to look, and allow things to sometimes just organically unfold the way they're meant to be. And I've learned that way things happen beyond our wildest dreams, way far beyond anything we could have ever imagined that would have happened in our business.
That's really awesome. That's really, really awesome, because that's a massive story. That's really a massive story. And you had to overcome a lot of obstacles. So do you use some kind of techniques to really figure this out in this situation, or you had really this aha moment where you where you was laying down in bed, you couldn't get up anymore, you couldn't do anything else, so you had to rethink your whole life? Was this the aha moment and the life-changing moment, or did you use some techniques or meditation or whatever to really overcome this situation back in the days?
Yeah. And I had a moment where I was down to 90 pounds, literally skin and bones, laying on my bathroom floor. And I had no hope left. I had no hope. I thought that was my last day here on earth. And I heard a voice in my head saying, you're going to do this, get up. It's time to stop playing victim. And the thing that I heard in that moment is the thing that I started living my life from, which was to take an action forward. And it's sometimes the smallest of actions that can propel the momentum to create long-lasting change, not just in your life, but for the life of many other people that are out there as well. And for me, it was get up and, we're going to figure this out. You're going to do this, and you're going to help a lot of other people do the same thing. And for me, I had this practice that I had in that moment dedicated, that from that day forward, I was going to take time for myself, take time first thing in the morning to meditate and to pray and to be able to be still in the quiet, in the moments, to set my purpose and the intentions and the priorities. And I picked 3. So I always wake up in the morning and have my morning routine. As many Fortune 500 companies, CEOs out there, this is one of the practices that they always say is what creates the most successful entrepreneurs in our entire world. And I created this system for myself that worked, was waking up and praying and meditating for half an hour, however long you have, it doesn't really matter. And just focusing on intently, what are the 3 things? What are or even 1 to 3 things of priority that you can focus on today, and making sure no matter what, by the end of the day, to check those 1 or 2 or 3 things off your list, that you do not go to bed without having those 3 things accomplished at the end of the day.
That's so huge, because I also have a big and very strong morning routine. So it's 100% true that this is working, and this is super important to become successful. Awesome. So let's go to a little bit to entrepreneurship in the future. So the last 2 years, especially due to COVID, a lot of things changed in the marketplace, and also a lot of things changed how we are able to do business. For example, all this digitalization boom we had. So do you how do you see this situation in the meantime? What's changed actually for entrepreneurs during the last 1 to 2 years, and how can they benefit from it?
Yeah, I love that question, Stefan, that you asked that, and I think that's such a valuable question. And most people out there, will relate to the things that I'm going to mention, because I've gone through it, and I know every other entrepreneur has also gone through that. And I'm going to start off. There's actually 3 things. So the first thing I would say that people have learned and entrepreneurs have learned is to prioritize the things that matter most in your life and also in your business. We've learned, we've all had this time to reflect on ourselves, our life, where we're at, are we truly happy, right? Doing what we do, and is our business, aligned? Going back to what I said in the first part of our interview, is our business aligned with who we truly are? And if it is, it creates a fulfilling business. It creates a fulfilling life. It creates something when we are giving to ourselves and being able to be in alignment with that. It opens the doors to help so many other people. So being in alignment and being able to really recognize, what are the things that truly make you happy? What are your priorities in life? And, how can you move towards that each and every day? If it's out of alignment, what are some things that, number 2, that you can let go of, right? What can you let go of in your business that is no longer serving you? Because we all go through growth, and especially the last 2 years, we've gone through a massive amount of evolution and transformation, not only in ourselves, in our businesses, but in our world in general, as leaders, as how we show up, as how we relate to people. So what can we let go of? I always say, ask that question and take a moment to sit back and say, what are some things in my life, in my business, whether that's a partnership, a business partnership, maybe a program you're doing that is no longer aligned with who you are. It can be anything. It can even be down to, I used to eat cookies for breakfast, and I really am no longer aligned with that. It's time to eat eggs and bacon, or to have a salad, or, something like that, to focus on your health and something that, makes you happy at the end of the day, and knows that you're contributing not only to your own health, but when you're healthy, you're able to show up in your best possible version of yourself to help other people. And then the third thing, I would say, over the last 2 years, entrepreneurs have really seen the value in being authentic and vulnerable in conversations with other people. And this is something I've seen. I would probably say that the third thing, this one I'm just mentioning now, would be the top thing that I've noticed, and strategy I've noticed. Entrepreneurs who have been able to shift into this heart-centeredness, human connection way of being and communicating with others, have just, their businesses have just taken off, and they've thrived like nothing else, because people are hungry. They are hungry for connection with people, and those people that can show up, can tell their story, can be vulnerable, can be authentic themselves as leaders, as CEOs of their own businesses, as entrepreneurs, are the people that, the other people out there resonate the most with, because it's what they're looking for and what's lacking so much. Again, not only in entrepreneurship, but in our world in general.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I see a lot of people are already doing this also here in Europe, and is also in Austria, where one of our companies is situated. But I also see still a lot of entrepreneurs like they just wait, or they are frozen in the process, something like that. Yeah, because I hear in a lot of situations, or especially here in the DACH region, the German-speaking region in Europe, honestly, there are really a lot of people who are still waiting that everything will be like 2 years ago again. And when everything is like it was, they will start to work again. And in my opinion, this is extremely dangerous. And in my opinion, this will never happen again, because as you already told at the last question, things changed. And I totally relate to this, because of course we want to have connections. We were separated from all the human beings out there. Of course we want to reconnect. Of course we want to take a look behind the scenes, behind the Insta profile, for example. Who is this person really who is talking to you? Yeah. And so I'm 100% true that this is right. And actually, we did exactly what you were talking about, because we did exactly what can we just let go in the last 2 years. We had so many things in my companies. I have 4 companies at the moment running in Europe and in the US. And we had so many things we just stopped doing in the last 2 years, because we saw, okay, this is not where we want to go into the future, or this is not serving us in this way we expected, or we don't want to do this in the future. Yeah. So this is definitely huge. So let's continue with the last question here. So how do you see the future of entrepreneurship?
And I love what you just mentioned there. And going back to even the last question, adaptability, right? Having the ability to adapt to change in our world right now. We're in a technological, brand new, revolutionary age of technology, and things are changing now faster than they ever have before in history. So being able to adapt to the changes, being open-minded, being curious, being able to, sit back and ask questions that maybe other entrepreneurs aren't asking about certain things. This is the key to not only the present moment, but also the future, to be able to put yourself, what is it going to look like in the future in my organization? Because baby boomers are retiring at a rapid rate. And I don't know about you, we're in Canada here, and the rates of, our birth rate and the amount of people being born into our environment isn't enough to actually fulfill the workforce in our country. And I know this is a global issue.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is something we need to think about. How are we going to fulfill the roles, and especially bringing in, if you're a larger company, bringing in experts to your organization to allow you to grow globally when there's not even enough people to fulfill the roles that are currently here. So thinking outside the box is also another area I highly recommend, being ahead of the game, thinking ahead, forward projections as to, what are the pitfalls, what are the gaps in our society, and how can you bring that into this present moment, bringing in younger generations so they can be trained by the baby boomers and their wisdom can be passed down to them prior to them leaving the corporate environment or leaving this entrepreneur, company that you have. This is a huge issue. It's a huger issue than what most people realize. And again, going back to the adaptability, having that ability to adapt, to change, and to recognize the ability to be able to appreciate people and value people. That's one of the biggest things right now, and the gaps that I've seen. And I've done many training, with various different levels of corporate, entrepreneurs. I've worked with startups now for almost 2 decades, some of the most prolific leaders in our entire world. And one of the things that I've seen over the last 2 years, and I see into the future, is this lack of appreciation for the employees that work for the organization. Even just taking 5 minutes out of their day to reach out, to send an email, to schedule a call, to go meet them in person and ask, how is your day? How are things going? These simple questions, it's these simple little things in our life as an entrepreneur that make the biggest difference. Those people who know that they are seen, valued, and heard in the organization will not leave. They will be there. They will become your biggest fan. They will work harder. They will be more productive. And at the end of the day, will allow your company to grow to unprecedented levels of profits that nothing else in the world would be able to replace, because it's people first. Business is about people first, no matter what angle you look at it.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. We see this in our consulting service company at CHC, Corporate Health Consulting. It's so true that employee engagement, employee health, employee wellness, all these things are so related to the thing you just said in the last second. So how you communicate, how you value people, how you talk to them, how you appreciate them. Oh, that's so true.
And how you show up as a leader yourself, right? If you're authentic, if you're vulnerable, if you're sharing your weaknesses and the things you're struggling with, it's going to allow your staff and your employees to also do the same, which is going to create this level of trust. that is, again, the unprecedented level of trust. Everything is built upon trust and relationship. So I agree with you 100%, Stefan, on that.
That's awesome. Nadene, we could go over and over and more into these details, but let's stop here. So I know there would be so much more information. So when somebody wants to talk to you or reach out to you or connect with you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. I would say LinkedIn is probably the most active social media platform that I'm on. You can also go to my website, which is just Nadene Joy, NADENEJOY.com. And all the information on there. If you want to set up a 30-minute deep dive conversation, I would love to get to know you and get to know things that are going on. And I'd love to help you, move to the next level and create the limitless possibilities that exist to become the best version of yourself as an entrepreneur.
That's awesome. We're definitely going to tag you and post all this information when we launch the interview. So Nadene, thank you so much for taking the time and for this awesome conversation. And I wish you all the best. And yeah, let's help as many entrepreneurs as possible to become successful too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.